Now, if anyone has got any
Sir,
query, he is most welcome. And
sir,
even if sir has to say something.
sir, please, Miss, I think that now you should stop that sharing of the screen. Yeah. Sir, thank you very much. First of all, because I was about to tell in the beginning, but let me, Miss, I waited deliberately. Uh, I want to tell Professor Ramina Rashid, Professor Tanvir Ahmad, Tahira Jamir, Wasim Ali Mir, Mohammad Anis, all happy Eid, sir.
Thank you,
Right?
sir.
This is from Government Arts and Commerce College, Niger, from Gujarat. From my on behalf of my principal, on behalf of my team, I wish you very, very, very happy Eid. And this is, I think, we found a very good academic Eid, right? So we we accept your Eid, right? This is an academic Eid we have,
Thank
right?
you,
We
sir.
enjoyed it. And people in chat box talks about something. One very interesting this chat was going on. Someone said that is the dream true, right? So does the dream means show your future? No, my dear friend, dreams does not dreams do not show your future. This is a Billy Cartwright type of syndrome, right? That's not that is said by some, you can say, some astrologers. You should I think read Arcana story astrologer, right? So dreams are not our future, right? We can dream the
So shall I
future.
come?
One minute, sir. We can dream the future, but dreams are not our future. They are our repressed psyche. They are our they are our wishes, which are means, our desires, which are repressed by us, and they are manifested. They are projected in our dreams. Right. So, for example, those who are in love. Let me give a very romantic example. Those who are in love, they have dream of pari, right? Fairy, right? This is same. I think Ahmad Saab can enlighten more about it. Sir, please.
Sir, there is one thing that I would like to tell about dreams. Now, I say, I believe that we have a lot of problems in our lives, but the most beautiful aspect of our lives is having dreams. I personally define dreams as extension of our abilities. So instead of interpreting dreams about our future and about our past, we should perhaps enjoy the dream. Let me give you an example. Say, for example, unfortunately, someone's parents are dead. Now, he, in his real life, can never meet his dead parents, but see the ability of dreams, he can also talk with them. So, why we should not enjoy a little conversation with our, deceased parents, rather than thinking that, oh, I saw my granny in the dream, maybe tomorrow I'll die. It is better to think that what dreams do, they take our ability to next level, isn't it? So let's enjoy. So someone wants to be a hero like Bahubali is a movie, and he becomes that in his dream. His wish is fulfilled. So let's enjoy the dreams as the wish fulfillment process also. Those which probably we may not. So that is my take on dreams. So rather than making dreams more complicated by interpreting them, let's enjoy life.
Yeah, and dreams provide you true freedom. You are liberated in dreams. You have no socio-cultural boundaries in dream. You can walk with your beautiful girlfriend. You can talk with your beautiful wife, or you can talk with anyone, right, in dreams, which might not be possible in your real world, because the real world is very cruel. The real world is have some socio-cultural religious constraint, right? So you are out of this constant, and you are enjoying on the hills, you say, near the bank of the river, and singing a song, enjoying life, right? So it is a kind of, you can say, relief to human being from this tension, from this stress. And it is, I think it has that, you can say, kind of pathological, or you can say cathartic relief. In Aristotelian term, I should use cathartic relief, right? So that there are many songs in Hindi movie, because someone has example is given the example of Fukre, but I should say there are many songs. Sapne mein milti hai kudi meri, sapne mein milti hai, that is the very, very best example, right? So is there any question?
So there are some people who are raising their
Ah,
hand.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So
There
there is
are 1 minute, sir.
uh, Asya Bhatt, Arun Kumar, and Amit Kapoor.
Ah,
In
sir.
chat
Kapoor
box
sir.
there is some questions.
Ah, yes. Kapoor sir, please. I think we should start from senior, sir.
Thank you, Rathod sir.
Uh,
Firstly, Tanvir sir, wish you Eid Mubarak
Thank you.
on behalf of all the participants. Tanvir sir, am I audible?
yes, sir.
You
Yes,
are.
sir.
Thank
Yeah.
you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Sir, I was just, the session, let me tell you, was just very crisp to the point and perfect, in-depth insight into psychological literary theory. But somehow, I was waiting for a literary example which you could, you know, imply this theory of psychoanalysis on a particular text, and that would have been more elaborate. I was looking forward to it. And during the discussion, I personally was reminded of a text which, I read some years back. And if you permit, like, I could present that psychological understanding as far as my knowledge and my limitations are concerned. You
It
can,
would have been very good. We are having 4 minutes. If you can do that within 2 minutes, we have got no problem.
okay, fine, fair enough.
Sir, sir, we can rejoin, na, sir. Can we rejoin?
Yeah, we can. No issue.
So no issue. Na,
I'll
sir.
restart it at 4.
I think let Kapoor sahab miss share something. Sir,
Okay.
Fine.
you can.
So
Thank
we
you.
can announce that all the participants, they can rejoin once it drops at 4.
Yeah, they will definitely. Right? It is quite enlightening, right? Okay, sir.
Sir, should I continue?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sir, the novel that I am talking about is Arvind Adiga's Booker Prize winning novel, The White Tiger.
Right.
And there is this central character of Balram Halwai. I do not know how many of the participants have read it, but there is this character Balram Halwai who belongs to a very small village called Lakshmangarh from Bihar. And due to economic constraints, and plus you talked about in the core issues, you talked about the low self-esteem. He suffers from that because he is referred to as Munna, which is a very demeaning term for him. He feels low self-esteem, and then he gets an opportunity and he migrates to a city, New Delhi, and he starts working as a driver with a businessman, a very rich businessman, Ashok Sharma. And slowly and gradually he's so very influenced by the urban life that he starts dreaming of becoming rich. He has those repressions, he has those strong desires to become rich, and he learns from his experiences in the urban setup that there can be, like, according to him, there can be shortcuts to success. And what he ends up doing is he murders his own master, his own employer, and he takes over the name of Ashok Sharma and starts his own business of an entire fleet of cars in a city like Bangalore, and he becomes a rich man. So I was just reminded of that. That is what I wanted to share.
Thank you, sir. Obviously.
And there was okay, sir, your reaction, please.
Please, sir, complete.
Okay.
Yes, sir, please. You should continue, sir. Kapoor sahab, please continue.
The second, like, it is in the form of a question. Tanvir sir, can you probably throw light on the connection between the psychoanalytical theory of literature to the queer theory of literature, which has recently started developing? Because queer theory is in some ways related to psychoanalytical theory. So could you throw some light on the lines of connection between these two theories?
Sir, I won't be able to do it right now because, if I dwell it, I would be beating the bush, because I am not very much clear presently about queer theory. So I would just excuse about that. I don't like, beating the bush. So I don't, there are 100 participants here. So if there is someone who can relate it, or even if you can go ahead. Most welcome.
See, what I look at it this way, when we are talking about psychoanalytical theory, we generally compartmentalize, gender into, like, firstly, gender and sex are two different things. That is what I want to clarify at the very beginning, right? And whenever we are talking about psychoanalytical theory, especially that of Sigmund Freud, we are either talking of Oedipal complex or we are talking about the Electra complex, right? The opposites attract. But in queer theory, it is not the opposites that attract, right? It is the same sex, the same genders that get
Yeah.
attracted. So,
Yeah.
like, wherein do you find the connection of compartmentalization into Oedipal and Electra complex and queer theory? Because it
Okay.
is
Okay.
the third gender. That is what, like, my
Exactly.
question would be.
Now we can come into that. Now, see, when we talk about Sigmund Freud, as I said in between in my lecture, that even Sigmund Freud himself wrote that the theory that I have developed or built have got many lags. So he said there would be contributors who would come later and may better what I had said, or enhance or correct if there are any lags. Truly, when we
Okay.
come into the contemporary society, we do have a society which have become more pluralized. It's
Yes.
not now into those two things like male and female, isn't
Very
it?
true.
No, we have come way out of this distinction or this divide, and now we have come out of it. So there are most of the people whose psychology is now processed in a matter who do not think about male and female attraction very differently. So we have in contemporary times where people get attracted to same gender, say
Sex.
for example.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we can most probably improve upon this theory and or give us an Allegra complex, maybe find something new. Queer
Very true.
complex or something else would be a
Very
better
true.
idea to
Very true. Very true, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And sir, the both these three aspects now. For example, Oedipal, queer, as well as Electra. They are all based on the word called lack, L-A-C-K.
Yes.
So there is something called
Lack,
lack
yeah.
of love, lack of feeling, lack of emotion, right? Which provide you miss to go to or to go through a kind of Oedipal complex, right?
Very true.
So
Very true.
it is based on lack, sir.
Yes. Very
And
true.
even Freud has also clarified, and many critics on Freud also said that they are based on the experiences of the patients, and that's why they do not have that clear methodology. But let me remind Hamlet, though there is madness, there is method in it, right?
Yes.
So there is some very good theoretical you can say presumption you can have. Yes, is there any question?
If there is anyone, they can raise hands. Now we can allow them.
Yeah, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Let me find him out.
Or has any comment to make, may raise his her hand.
Sir, can I, with your permission, Kapoor Saab, can I, can I apply this literary, that psychoanalytical theory, right, to one of the authors, a very great poet, and he is John Keats, because I'm working on it.
Sir, please,
Yeah.
please.
In Keats' life, we can find so much lack, right? His mother and father died, and his brother Tom dies, right? And he is also a kind of victim of, you can say, unrequited love.
Yes,
and that is reflected in his poems. For example, let me give you an example. La Belle Sans Mercy, all right? Miss a fairy without mercy, right? Who is that fairy? The fairy is his lover, right? Then we have Miss always in his words too. He is looking for something called permanence in relationship. He looks for, he thinks about only how the world of nature is very permanent, the realist or the world of reality. This world is very cruel, and in this world we have you can say selfishness, and you can say betrayal in relations. While the world of you can say Nightingale, right? It is very beautiful world. So he projects right relief, right, to his repressed desire.
Very true.
That is my interpretation of Keats.
Yeah, it is like,
We can look.
Yes, sir. Sir, please. Tanvir, sir, please.
You know, we can also look up. We can also look up to Death of a Salesman by Arthur Miller, where we
Yes.
have the defense mechanism called regression. You know, if we see there, Willy Loman, when he is in a situation where he falls down from that good happy state, so he starts thinking about those good old days. Now we can find these. There is another novel which I am not reminded of. The title of the novel I am not reminded of, but I just remember that at the end of the novel, what happens? The protagonist of that novel, which is a female, what she does, so she has a dream where she sets that house on fire. And if you read that whole novel, so she had a lot of problem with that house and the people in the house, and she wanted to hurt them, you know, in essence, but she cannot do that. So that particular thought of her, and she has a dream where she burns that house. If I remember the name of that novel, I'll surely, you know.
Sir, Tanvir, sir, if I'm not mistaken, you are talking about the character of Bertha in the novel Jane Eyre.
Yeah.
She does the same. She is the mad woman in the. That is Jane
I think
Eyre.
it would be Mad Woman in the Attic. Is there? Yeah, it is Jane Eyre also, but there is a parody of this Jane Eyre's character. Is it Mad Woman in the Attic? Is it the title of some novel? I think it is.
It is the title of one of the essays written on Jane Eyre by a critic. That is mine, as far as my knowledge goes. There may be a novel I have not come across.
No issues, you know, if we remember it, speak. But that is also a classic example. Jane Eyre is also a classic example of,
Yes.
you know, venting this repressed thought or desire.
Very true. Very true.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, please.
So one more novel which dealt with the psychoanalytic theory is Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf.
So,
Right.
yes, absolutely. You know, it is that stream of conscious novel wherein the whole narrative change. I did mention in my lecture also when I compared John Bunyan's Pilgrim's Progress to Virginia Woolf's, Virginia Woolf's novels. You know how the narrative changes are, how the writer's approach to the narration. You know, from the physical description to the, you know, describing the feelings of our psychological state or mind. That's a good example of, you know, psychoanalytic novel.
Or
And
for that matter, even William Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury, which has 4 different characters,
Yes.
and the concept of madness and repression and betrayal from all those 4 characters, all in the family, all members of the same family, and how they react to situations, especially the character of Benji there, who is Benjamin. Yes.
Because I cannot stop time. Let me stop. He commits suicide. Right. Secondly, Freud and other psychologists, they have influenced our literary authors too, and that's why after Freud, post-Freud era, writers wrote the novels or their works, right? After examining the Freudian theories, right? So you have that stream of consciousness, which is you can say, which is also a method of examining the mindset, examining the nerves of the mindset.
Right.
True. And even in contemporary times, there is a novel which is written by an Indian novelist, Mariam Kareem, titled as My Little Boat. There we have a character called Nasreen, who also suffers from psychological problems because, she has got problems with even her husband and with the way that whole house functions. And she also eventually ends up committing suicide because her defenses are too weak to overcome all her, anxieties or all her, those repressed thoughts or desires.
There is one question, sir. My question is, can you please distinguish between good dream and bad dream? And I have another question. Differs from the gender. That's very basic question. Good dream and bad dream.
See, as I said earlier, that dreams, if I am supposed to explain it, are the extension of our abilities. But when it comes to good dreams and the bad dreams, if we talk about Sigmund Freud, bad dreams are about projection and displacement. Now, what Sigmund Freud tells us. When we have a bad dream,
Please mute the audio. Yeah.
there are, what Freud says about bad dream. It is actually a displacement or condensation or projection of all our repressed desires. And when those repressed desires are, thrown back to the conscious mind, as I said, that we have a limited bandwidth, that is, we have a limited time in our sleep, to give all those bad thoughts and experiences and expression. So what all those bad experiences come form, which could be in the form of a ferocious lion, which could be a person falling from a great height, which could be a person being chased by a bear, which could be a person being hit by a bullet. But then the best thing about our dreams is neither do we die, neither do we have any problem, though we have got that those short breaths and fast heartbeat, but eventually we come safe also from those bad dreams which we have. And good dreams would be from the conscious mind, maybe, which have little to do with the unconscious mind. But this is my own take about good dreams. Or it could be a blessing of God, our creator. He wants us to have a good dream. That's great. I hope that I have been able to distinguish
Yes,
between
and the difference between sex and gender.
Sex is a natural distinction, natural division of human beings created by God, wherein neither you nor I can help it. If someone is a girl, she is a girl. If someone is a boy, she is a boy. If someone is a third gender, he is a third gender. But when it comes say that she is male, he is female, he is third gender, that is what we call as gender. A social construct, that I would say.
Sir.
A natural construct and a social construct.
Yes, sir. Sex is natural and gender is socio-cultural. When society creates it that you are girl or you are boy, all right?
Sir.
Yes, sir, please.
Sir, a best example would be to whosoever has asked this question of distinction between sex and gender. I would recommend that participant to kindly read the novel All Written on the Body by Janet Winterson. Please go through that novel. It is written by a female who is less of a female and more of a male. So she does not know. She does not have a gender of her own. She is like, and that is what the pain that she feels. And I would recommend that you go through that novel. It is a very good, worth reading book.
Yes, sir. Repeat the book, please. Repeat the
Written on the Body.
Written on the Body.
Janet Winterson.
Janet Winterson. Yeah. Please ask questions.
Good evening, sir.
Yes.
Are you able to hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Prakash.
Yeah, I am Prakash from Tamil Nadu. I am doing my PG second year and my project is on psychomatic mismatch. I have two questions. I have done my project on Hotberries, last year published novel. The first question is going to be, have you ever heard about that Virginia Woolf is affected by she had a bipolar disorder, and many women, great writers and novelists were eventually affected. Why particularly only the women are tormented in the even? Why only particularly women? And my final conclusion, I gave the I supported Freud initially. At final conclusion, I disregard is that a century has been passed. Freud wrote the theory in 1915. Now we are in the verge of 2020. Still, if psychoanalysis is really true in this world, we have more than 4 to 5 genders like lesbian, gay, homosexual. We are getting different genders. Still, is only women has a superior love, like what you have said, Oedipal complex or Electra complex. Why only particularly women want sex with men? Why the other men do not have a attention or attraction towards women? Why Freud only subjected women as bad? This is my question, sir.
Let me come to it now. What sir, if you want, you can.
Yeah. Freud, I think that you have to read Freud. Freud did not say that women are bad or women are attracted towards men, right? Freud said that it is some kind of Oedipal age that a boy is attracted towards an opposite gender, all right? And that is not, that is a and yes, I agree with one point that many feminists have said that Freud had that patriarchal mindset, and he had written as a male, M-A-L.
Well, here I would come in with gynocriticism, if you remember, by Alan Shalter. Now, Alan Shalter in gynocriticism deals in at length with how the universal narratives are also, male narratives. But besides that, what Sigmund Freud talks about, he talks about bad girl and good girl. Now, this bad girl and good girl is actually the creation of a person himself. So there is some core issue inside him. For example, he gives us an example that there is a son, who is related, who likes her mother, and he finds his father as a villain. So he says his sexual wish or desire remains unfulfilled. So what does that person do? He categorizes girls as good girls are like mother, isn't it? So who are the bad girls? Unlike mother. So what he does, Freud says that this guy who has got this problem, he would always look for bad girls in the society rather than good girls, because he thinks that ravishing the chastity of a good girl would be equivalent to doing harm to her mother, isn't it? But then the problem happens when he finds that good girl, so he becomes more aggressive kind of a person, what is called as death drive, also the destruction drive. But there comes a time in his life where he falls for good girl also. Now if he falls for good girl and then if he ends up with having a sexual relationship with her, he also categorizes her as bad girl because now she is not like her mother. So besides making it, only throwing it up on Sigmund Freud that he talked bad about women, it is the male actually who thinks in this particular way that she is a bad girl, she is a good girl. And eventually, if we have a sound psychological setup or our defenses are strong, we would, come out of such kind of, differences like bad girl and good girl.
And so adding to you, let me examine Hamlet, Shakespeare's Hamlet, right? Now, see, I want this, today I want to prove Hamlet as a villain, right? Because Hamlet, when he enters to the state of Denmark, he finds that his father is no more. Means the person who is his rival in the so-called love affection with his mother is no more. But some villain in his term, right? Some villain, he has married to his mother. Now he says that mother, you are lusty, and that man is more villainous than the villain. You can kill this man, right? But he cannot kill it, and he has to schematize it, right, politically. So mother is looked as a site for attraction, in the case of Hamlet. So Hamlet sees her as a site, right, as a property, right, and someone has intruded that property, right, and that's why he also rejects Ophelia, and he says that go to nunnery. So this is also you can say a man attracting, or you can say towards a woman, that is mom. Yes, but these theories also lead us to something called some complicated word, right? So we can examine or re-examine, interpret or reinterpret. There may be your interpretation, and it might be different from my interpretation, right?
There is a question.
Yeah, Kapoor sir's interpretation.
Sorry for the interruption. Yes, if somebody wants to.
Yes, sir. No,
Okay.
there were some questions. I would address them later. First, you come in and then I will.
I was just when Rathod sir was talking about Hamlet, and the relationship with his. It's a very famous essay, like a very well-researched essay. It is titled "The Absent Presence of a Father in Hamlet." That describes how, despite the fact paucity or the need of a father, to decide on what line of action should he take up. So that is one. And the second, thing is this is in connection with what Mr. Prakash had talked about, women being more, expressed more volatile in the literature. Like they are very aggressive. They are shown as very aggressive. What I personally, feel is it is primarily because of two reasons. That is my interpretation to it. One is women are doubly, I would say, suppressed in the sense or troubled. One is because of the biological disorders that they have, and the second is the societal, look on a woman as the weaker or the fairer sex. That they are doubly exploited, I would say, and that is the reason for their repression. That is what I personally feel.
Yes, sir.
So, there's a
excuse me,
question,
sir.
Please, please.
Prateek.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
The another novel which dealt with the psychoanalytic theory is Slave Girl by Buchi Amechida, in which Ojabita, being a Nigerian girl sold by her brothers to Ma Palagda and another character, that Pa Palagda has an illegitimate relationships with Chicago and other girls.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Would you like to question? Please ask a question.
It was perhaps a statement rather than a question.
This is the statement,
If you
ma'am.
do take what ma'am is saying, that even slave girl can be studied from psychoanalytic
Yeah,
perspective,
yes,
or you
yes,
can have a
yes.
psychoanalytic reading of the novel.
Yeah.
Here is
Right.
he
Prateek.
he is perhaps saying,
Prateek bhai.
defense mechanism has any relationship to compulsive disorder. Well, what I said, that this compulsive disorder that a person has would be classified under the death drive, which is actually the destruction drive, wherein a person's behavior is very rude, or what he is up to, destroying things, destroying himself. Now it has obviously a relationship with the defense mechanism, because his defense mechanism would be weak, which because of those weak defense mechanism, he is forced to have that psychological behavior, which forces him to behave in a very unacceptable way, and it ends up to the obviously to that state of death, what Freud says, thanatos probably. There was perhaps
Yes,
there is a question by Danish Malik, Eros and Thanatos. Now, Eros is life drive, or sex drive. Now, something that enables or helps a person to do things which are not relatively bad, and which helps towards positivity of a person. And Thanatos, as I said earlier, would be that death drive or the destruction drive, wherein a person does not overcome all those core issues and ends up being in a very bad psychological shape. I hope that I have answered these two questions.
yes, sir.
Yeah, Tanvir sir, I am reminded of the character of Thanos in the Marvel series.
Sir, I haven't watched Marvel series. Yeah.
Marvel series, Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So he's one of the
Oh, no, I haven't watched
destroyers.
them. I haven't watched them.
No, actually,
So I cannot
sir,
relate.
actually, what Freud mentioned in his books is he does not say that sex is just for production and reproduction, right? It is your, you can say, energy. It can be controlled or consumed. It can be subverted or projected, right? So one should take into account miss the overall picture or overall definition of sex. Generally, we believe that sex is just a kind of reproduction or production, right? It is just an encounter between a man and a woman. It is not. It is just a zone of pleasure. What Freud has said. Yes. Is there any question? Is there any connection between dopamine and dreams? What is it, Mr. Arvind?
Dopamine is a drug, basically.
Drug.
Dopamine, mind and dreams. Drug which would be treated in, scientifically or in medicine field. Now, where a person be doped with something so that he can, express his unconscious desires or, thoughts better than he is conscious. Now, you can relate it to the way Sigmund Freud would treat his patients. Or you can also refer to the movies that we have. If there's a person who has got some problem, the people, they try to sleep him. And when he becomes, goes deep into sleep and then they start talking to her or to him so that they can reach deep into their mind. Now, Sigmund Freud has his own way of extracting those dumb thoughts out of the unconscious mind. And in the contemporary times, we have all those medical tests. So if there is that if someone is a criminal and he does not want to tell the truth, so we also have a test for that. I'm just not getting the terminology that we use for that. So these are the medicinal ways wherein we attempt to extract or dig out the unconscious mind. Because dreams do dig out the repressed thoughts, but nobody knows about our dreams unless we narrate them. But using those drugs, he narrates the whole story by himself.
Yeah, it is
And
a kind
Tanvir,
of
sir.
narcotics.
Yeah, yeah.
No, sir?
Yes,
It's a
yes,
kind
yes.
of narcotics. Yeah.
And sir, Tanvir, sir. Like I just wanted to add to it. Dopamine could probably, being a drug, it could make a person hallucinate but not dream. It could lead you to hallucination but not dreaming, because there is a line of difference between hallucination and dream.
Yeah, there is.
Yes, sir. And it provides you an opportunity to communicate that fellow in depth.
Yes.
Right, in depth. You can examine his mental activities. You can examine where he is. And
We have some.
yes, Mr. Mehta. Yeah, please.
Hello.
Yes,
Am I
sir.
audible?
Oh,
Am I audible,
yes,
sir?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
you are.
Yeah, okay. Good afternoon, Tanvi, sir. Or maybe I would say good evening.
Good evening, good afternoon.
Okay, I mean, you have talked about this psychoanalytical theory. So I just wanted to ask a question. Even, in fact, my friend also asked in the chat, maybe chat box as well. But somehow it go unnoticed. So again, I need to ask, how can we apply this psychoanalytical theory to the any literary text? Because we have talked about from Shakespeare to Jane Eyre and some other texts like To the Lighthouse of Virginia Woolf. So are there any criteria?
I have got your question. Well, one
Okay,
thing
thank
about
you.
this today's lecture was it was introduction to literary theory, psychoanalytic literary theory. But obviously, as a student of literature or a teacher of literature, application is an important aspect. Now, here I
Yes,
would
yes.
recommend everyone Peter Barry. Now, if you read Peter Barry at the end of the chapter which he discusses, he talks about what does a psychoanalyst do. Know his questions. What does a psychoanalyst do? Yes, Jaswant Rathod sir is showing Peter Barry. Now, what does psychoanalysts do? They dig into the mind of human beings. So, if we dig into the mind of human beings, what we would be interested in when we action versus thought. And that is a very important aspect of contemporary work. And second thing that we would look at would be the core issues. Now, I just give an example of, again, Sylvia Plath, which I also did earlier. Now, Sylvia Plath has got a core issue, that is, she did not fulfill get the attention of her father. Fine. Now, fine. Now, once we have understood this core issue, now we can go back to Daddy poem and read that poem psychoanalytically. Now, what we have? We have an absolutely psycho character in the form of Sylvia Plath, isn't it? Her core issue is unfulfilled wish or desire of getting affection of her father. So in psychoanalytic theory, we are told that in such a situation, what a character does, he tries to reinvent, that person with something else. So what Sylvia Plath does, she replaces her father with Ted Hughes.
Okay.
Understand? Now, this is how you can approach any text. Now, there would be different core issues, as I said earlier. Now, go to Willy Loman in
Death of a Salesman.
Death of a Salesman.
Yes.
Now, his core issue is probably about low esteem, because earlier he was a very, very successful businessman, and then he falls from that particular state to a stage where he was absolutely not that, in the.
Sorry to interrupt you, sir, but Willy Loman, I think, happens to be a salesman who is dreaming about to be a good salesman. He is comparing himself. I'm not recalling exactly with which character he himself compares, but he idealizes someone who is more famous, and he wishes that he would like to be as famous as him, because he wanted to get famous, but somehow his luck was not good, or somehow he didn't perform well in his duty as a salesman. Maybe he was Willy Loman, but people call him
Willy Loman is the main character.
Loman. Because Loman, because he was not able to perform his duty as father, or maybe other duties as well. So can we consider as that?
Yeah, we can consider. Now, what happened to him? Now, when he failed to have that desire fulfilled of becoming a rich businessman, what he ended up? He ended up shooting himself. Now, that shooting himself means that his defense mechanism was too weak to overcome his core issue, isn't it? And in that case, that his conscious mind, his hero, as I said earlier, was not strong enough to beat the villain, unconscious mind. So we can find elements in this way from the work and apply psychoanalytic theory.
So it's about the perception that one needs to develop as a literary student. That's what we can sum up at the end. Am I right, sir?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, sir.
Dr. Gandhi, I would also like to add that today we do not have a text. We have texts, yes, right? So what ideology the writer has brought, because whenever we criticize or we comment on a particular book today, right, in current situation, we must look on ideology, ideal, and the mental nerves of the author. And what is there is your individual interpretation. So you may be you can say in one statement I can say that everything is fair in love, war, and literature. Right?
That's true, sir.
Yeah, one person, Chirag has said that, Chirag, there is one question. The idea of gay comes from the attraction of man towards man. The idea of lesbian comes from the attraction of woman to woman. Then what do you think about the transgender mindset? My dear friend, I cannot. Sir, Tanvir sir, would you like to attempt this one? What do you think?
I didn't get. Is it in the chat box? That's what I was looking for.
It is in the chat box. He said that the idea of lesbian comes from the attraction of woman to woman. Then what do you think about the transgender mindset? I mean, how the idea of transgender arose? If this is relevant with yes, this is relevant, but this is very complex question.
See, it is obviously complex, but the fact of the matter remains, as I said earlier, when Sigmund Freud dealt with, he restricted his whole theory, or his fundamental principle was the repression of sexual desire. And when it comes to repression of sexual desire, it is divided between male and female. So in Freud's theory, there is no place for third gender. A third gender would be not the third gender that we say right now, but if there was any third gender between other than male and female, it could be a fourth gender also. But now when we come into the 21st century, we have these queer theories as earlier mentioned, and we have these other things. So they could have a scope in psychoanalytic theory only if we want to, enhance or, increase the canvas or area of this particular research. Truly, we can work upon them. In that case, we'll have to, to carry an extensive project to understand the psychological state of a third gender. We would have to interact with them so that we can understand also their core issues and their unconscious state of mind. How does that work?
Yes, sir. Is there any question? I find that marginalized space for women here. There are many women, but they do not ask questions.
Hello, sir.
Yes,
Can you
please,
hear me?
Dipal Pandya. Yes, Pandya ma'am.
Hello,
please.
everyone. Hello,
Yes.
Jashwant sir, Amit sir, Tanvir sir. I would like to add to that question which was asked earlier, that how we can psychoanalyze a text. So I would say that there are certain characters in the novel which have the compulsion activities. So they do certain things in a certain way. So that can also be examined through psychology. The writers, so certain writers put some unusual actions or abnormal some abnormal incident in the novel or in the fiction, we can say. So that can also be examined through this literary criticism.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
thank you, ma'am. There is another person who says, Hitin Solanki. Hitin says that I think the best way to go for psychoanalytic reading is analyze manifest, examine the latent behavior of character. Yes, that is also one of the way of approaching. And here, what I would suggest here, that slightly clubbing deconstruction with it. When we club deconstruction, we would destabilize the very, obvious meaning of the text, isn't it? Only then we could try to attempt to find the latent things in the symbols. And that could also be an extensive exercise of looking at the work from psychoanalytic lens, through psychoanalytic way.
I would like to add to Pandya ma'am's comment. Ma'am, you can miss whenever you go for the psychoanalytic criticism of a particular text. I think that you should remember 4 P's. Please, with the audio, someone's audio is. You should go with. This is my personal opinion. You should go with 4 P's. Number 1 is producer. Who has produced that book? Write a biography of him or her. Then production. How of that production, and the psyche of the the characters. So these 4 P's are very important. Criticism of particular text, specific text.
Yes, true.
So,
Yeah.
can we wind up now?
Yes, sir. Because there are.
I would just want to say one thing, that it was absolutely fantastic session that we had. Now,
Yes.
why am I saying to wind up? It's not that I'm tired, but I have to leave for my home, which is from 25 kilometers away. So I'm going back there. So in that case, I say, because in Jammu and Kashmir we have got this problem of internet. So I have to come long way in order to have a better quality internet, so that we can interact with full convenience.
So,
Convenience is regretted.
Yes. No, 1 minute, please. On behalf of my Government Arts and Commerce College, Netrang, Gujarat, all over Gujarat, on behalf of my participants, my principal, Dr. G.R. Parmar, and my team, I sincerely thank and Kashmir for providing a very good enlightening, you can say, address. And it was, sir, it was a very enlightening as well as interactive session, very informative as well as you can say entertaining session. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, one and all.